Hi, John. My name is Emily. I hope you are well. Today, we are going to go over the emergency preparedness plan. I have attached a few PDF documents for you to review. I will make sure to send those over to you as well. But I just want to start by going over the menu, and then we're going to go into things of regarding food and the budgeting, cooking, cleaning schedules. I'll go over some handouts we could give to the residents in the community. And then we can also go over just any other questions you may have. And we can also look into how we can evaluate that the plan that we have going forward is going to work for you. Okay, so let's start with the menu. So I designed a menu that you can utilize at your facility based on 5 days. Shopping can be done at the Super Walmart that is located 30 minutes away. If this is something that is not feasible, or if you think there's somewhere else you would prefer besides the Super Walmart, I'm happy to adjust this menu. And again, anything with the PDFs or anything you want to adjust or you have input or questions about, we can totally go over. That should be no problem at all. So with the menu, I wanted to create a menu that was going to be feasible in terms of cooking and just stuff that we can have that's not going to expire right away, things we can utilize in different menus, different days. We could go over also for the residents that have health concerns, how our menu, we don't need to change too much, that it could kind of be useful for everybody in a general population. So starting with like day one, our breakfast, we have orange juice fortified with calcium and vitamin D just to get some extra nutrients in for the residents. We got hot oatmeal with milk. We have some medium apples, hard-boiled eggs, instant coffee, water. For lunch, we have something like turkey and provolone on whole wheat bread, Quaker chocolate chip granola bars, carrots and celery sticks, canned fruit cocktail, sweet iced tea, and water. And for dinner, we have a Progresso canned chicken and rice soup with some saltine crackers, roasted broccoli, strawberry jello, vanilla ice cream, hot tea, and instant hot chocolate and water. Again, this is just a sample of just menu items that don't require too much cooking or too much storage. Again, are going to last a while, like the Progresso canned chicken rice soup. We don't have to worry too much about storage and expiration with that. And it goes on to showcase the same exact format with breakfast, lunch, and dinner for day 2, 3, 4, and 5. It kind of interchanges. We changed it a little bit. We added, for example, chocolate pudding on one day. We added a different type of soup for another day. But ultimately, we wanted to keep it pretty similar and pretty light for cooking and serving and just in general with allergies and health concerns, just so everybody could kind of utilize a similar menu. I also provide some recipes. For example, for the oatmeal, we could use a stove top to cook the oatmeal. We can also not use milk, use water instead for the oatmeal, kind of give an option with that. Hard-boiled eggs, we can also use a stove top to cook those. That's also a pretty quick and easy recipe we can follow. And also the roasted broccoli, we can just use the oven to cook the broccoli. That shouldn't be a problem too much. Just put into oven, maybe put some butter or oil on top. So again, this is just a sample of something we can utilize. We can always change it up again, depending on your preference or if you have any ideas of what you would want to replace instead. But this is just an overview of how we could design a 5-day menu for the facility. So going to our next little handout. So I kind of developed a cart full of the items that we discussed in the menu and also added some items that we would need utensil-wise, garbage bags, forks, spoons, knives, napkins, cleaning supplies. I took that into consideration in the amount of residents we have in the community. And I came up with, based on Walmart's pricings, just an estimate of how much we think it's going to cost. So based on the savings and subtotals and the amount we need for everything, the total did come out to about $1,476. And I know you mentioned you have a budget of $600, so this does have us needing at least $800 more to fulfill our needed requirements based on the estimated total. And I know this is a little over the budget that we discussed, but some two potential scenarios we could think of with this is number one, looking into other stores like the Sam's Club or maybe local grocery stores that can give us some lower prices with the items. We can also ask for donations if anybody in the community can donate things like utensils, plates, if there's anyone that has, canned food lying around, just different donations we can use. So maybe we can get rid of some of the things that we might not need as much. We can also look into some coupons, seeing if there's anything we can save up on. I think, there is ways we can manage the budget. We can also get some money donations from others in the community. We can ask for a loan. I think there are potential ways we can go about this, but again, I kind of just gave you an estimate to work on based on the menu I created. If there's things again on this menu or the shopping list that you think we don't need or you might be able to provide instead, I'm definitely willing to again work on that. This is just, I want to give you an overview of what I expect it's going to cost you based on the needs of again utensils, supplies, food, all of that. So that's just a little overview of that. So looking into the cooking and cleaning schedule, so I went on some questions that I believe you may have or your staff may have that I kind of wanted to answer. So first going on who you think should participate in the cooking. So what criteria you and your wife may use with the cooking responsibilities. So I think starting with individuals that do not have any medical conditions that may exclude them from being able to participate in the cooking. I would say sticking with people that are at least 18 to 64 years of age. So we don't, make any children or older adults with some problems or that aren't just able to mentally or physically help us in the kitchen. I think that's a good starting point. Obviously, anyone with medical condition, we don't want to overwork them. I think some criteria you might want to utilize when assigning some cooking responsibilities is assessing any previous cooking experience within the participants, seeing the strengths and weaknesses of those who are willing to participate, where they may be able to help more, or where you think, we can use the extra, physical strength with the men, maybe with carrying certain things, with the grocery shopping. I think just seeing the participants we do have and breaking it down based on strengths and weaknesses will definitely help you with who should participate in what areas. Based on how many people we think should cook and prepare food at each feeding time, I think based on the menu we have, we can aim for at least 8 to 10 individuals to help with the cooking and preparing of food. And you want to aim to have at least one person per item needing to cook and prepare. So for example, for breakfast, we could have one person pouring the orange juice, one person making an oatmeal, one person, serving the oatmeal, kind of dividing it into different categories. But I think starting with at least 8 to 10 individuals will be a good start to helping with cooking, preparing, and serving the meals. How we divide it is, again, based on strengths and weaknesses we think each individual might be able to help us more with. Some other jobs that might be needing to be fulfilled at each feeding time, having at least 3 to 4 individuals helping with the serving of the food, and at least 3 to 4 to help with cleaning tables and stations that the residents may be using during the feeding times would also be really helpful since we might have a lot of participants in the cooking part of the kitchen. We also want people to help with serving the food, cleaning off the tables, just so we have efficient staff for the in and out processes of the residents trying to get the food in a quick and safe manner. So some job descriptions and roles that I think would be useful is having a server, someone that's able to just help give out the food and maintaining good serving sizes so we don't over give food and we end up running out of food. Someone that's following, of course, safety measures and personal hygiene. We want to make sure we're following safety protocols when serving the food, when preparing the food, cleaning up tables, any job role we have, we want to make sure everyone's following those. But that's ultimately what the server would be doing. We would have some table busters, just having individuals clean off tables using proper sanitation methods, wiping down surfaces, clearing food and plates off the table. Of course, you want to make sure they're following proper protocols throughout the whole entire process as well. Of course, we want to have some cooks that are going to help prepare the meals that are going to be served to the residents, following proper protocols, making sure they're cooking the food items properly, following the recipes, avoiding any cross-contamination, following personal hygiene, etc. And I think the last one is just a janitor that's going to help ensure the kitchen is properly cleaned and sanitized in between services, helping mopping down the floors in the kitchen, in the dining area, helping the table busters a little bit, taking out the trash, making sure there's no trash lying around, dividing the recycling, all those little things. I think it's good to have at least one or two individuals at a time, just helping out with cleaning out the kitchen in between services would be really beneficial. So again, this is something we can go over when we do get participants, kind of dividing who we think would fit each job description best. I think also just doing little interviews with each participant to see where they would fit best. If one person would be better off as a server, one person would be better off as a table busser, just kind of going from there would be really beneficial. But this can help you explain to each participant what is required from them and if that is something they would be able to help you with during the process of the cooking and cleaning. All right, so that will be obviously given to you as well. So you might be asking, how are we going to know that all of this is going to accurately go well? How are we going to evaluate everything if it's going good, if we are following the track? I think having an emergency preparedness evaluation handout can be really beneficial to kind of just learn as you go, learn where you can improve, where participants who are in the kitchen, what they might say, what the residents might say, how, if God forbid something like this happens in the future, how you could be more prepared as well. So I kind of prepared a little handout just of who should take part in providing feedback. Again, individuals that were involved within the operations, people including the cooking, serving, and cleaning crew, as well as residents that were providing meals in order to gain quality feedback on how well this emergency plan worked and what can be improved upon in the future if needed. So I kind of came up with these yes or no questions. So for example, mobile home residents were able to effectively follow emergency procedures and become prepared using the emergency kit protocols highlighted in the handout, which I will go over after this handout. So residents will either be able to go yes or no. If somebody chooses no for any of these questions, I provided a space where they're able to write in why they chose no, just so we can get more feedback from that. So it kind of just goes through these questions one by one, and then it ends with stating below what they would do differently or what they think should be done differently, and any additional comments or concerns about the emergency preparedness plan. So again, this just gives you a better overview of what worked, what didn't work between the residents and participants within the kitchen, just so you could get a better idea if you ever need to go through emergency disaster plan in the future, what you can do a little differently. So that will be provided for you, of course. And this is the handout that we were discussing. So this is a home emergency preparedness plan handout that I created that you can give out to the residents that they can utilize at home when they are not at the facility, just so they can be a little bit more prepared in the future, again, if this ever happens. Some things that we have in this emergency preparedness plan includes how to prepare an emergency supply kit. You want to make sure they're containing the following items that include water, medication, non-perishable food items like canned foods. You want to make sure they're not bringing any cooked or refrigerated food items that are going to expire way too quickly. And again, if anybody has like a newborn, you want to make sure they're bringing that formula with them if needed. I also provide a little picture showcasing grab and go stuff they can bring with them, like warm clothes, first aid kit, some cash, water, snacks, a radio, just so they can be aware of any updates if it's a storm or a hurricane, for example. Some toiletries like toilet paper, toothbrush, toothpaste, any essential medications they might need, extra batteries and chargers, flashlights, dirty shoes, just stuff that would be very useful in an emergency situation that they can kind of just bring into a backpack with them. I also showed an image of some examples of foods they could bring, so like some dried fruits, granola bars, canned food items like beans, corn, soup, and also like a deck of playing cards just so they have something to do when they are at the facilities as well can be beneficial. And the last thing, I just provided a little checklist on how individuals are able to prepare themselves and their families, including checking up for any storm updates frequently, reviewing the plan with their family. They want to make sure they're checking their emergency supply lists, protecting their property and valuable items, and making sure they're always charging their cell phones. So again, this whole entire pamphlet will be provided to the residents. We can make a bunch of copies so you can hand them out at your facility as well. But I think every resident should be given this pamphlet just so they can follow along when they are at home. Okay, and then one last thing I just want to go over with you. Let me just get that for you right over here. So going back to the menu, I did discuss that some individuals might have some medical or cultural needs specifically. So I kind of broke down a handout for you based on the medical or cultural needs somebody might have. For example, type 2 diabetes. We know we have one individual within the community with end-stage renal disease, an individual, with autism, celiac disease, milk allergy, and I know we also have some Somali refugees within the community. So based on the number here, we have a solution for each individual. So for example, someone with type 2 diabetes, our solution is we could follow the same menu. We just want to make sure they are avoiding sweetened beverages and refined carbohydrates such as the breadsticks. But for example, they could still utilize things like oatmeal with water, just making sure not to add any sugar. We can also have them eat the carrot and celery sticks. So we could still follow the same menu. We just want to make sure that those type of individuals with type 2 diabetes are avoiding those certain menu items. So same thing kind of goes for each type of medical cultural needs. Again, we have what they have over here, and they could still utilize the same menu, just certain things we would want to try to avoid for each individual. And then for Somali refugees in particular, which is number 6, as part of the Somalian cuisine, basmati rice can be added to the menu, which is cooked in a pot stovetop as a side option to have with vegetables and soup. So that's something we can consider for those individuals specifically, so they can feel like they're having something that's part of their culture in their diet, so they feel like there's nothing they can eat at all. So that is something, again, we can go over, and I will definitely provide you this handout along with every single other handout that we have. Okay. All right, John, it was really a pleasure to speak with you today. If you have any questions, you have my email, you have my phone number. I hope these handouts gave you a little bit of some background on this emergency preparedness plan. I hope you have a better idea of this plan now and you feel more comfortable. Again, if there's anything you want to modify or change or go over again, I'm happy to go on another call with you. But besides that, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.